I'm going to be making these really pretty round seed bead earrings today. I'm going to be making them in the pink colour, and I've just got a couple of other colour examples there for you. So I always love to make things in pink, black and white. That's why I've chosen those colours, but you can obviously choose whatever colour you like. I love the silver on that outside there, just to sort of make that earring pop a bit, and it matches the sterling silver earring hook that I've used. We are using Preciosa round crystal beads in the centre. These are super beginner friendly. You can make one earring in about 40-45 minutes, maybe a bit quicker if you're more advanced. So just sit yourself down in front of the TV in the evening with your beads and your threads and make yourself a lovely pair of earrings. Okay, this is what you'll need to create each earring. So for that, in the centre of the earring, I'm going to be using a 6mm Preciosa crystal round bead. This is just a pink sapphire colour. It's really gorgeous, light pink colour. So you just need one of those for the centre of your earring. For that first round of silver beads, there are 880 seed beads. These are galvanized silver. And the pink round of beads, I'll be using these 110 seed beads. These are my key seed beads, and there are 18 in total. And I've just matched that colour to match my centre bead. And then for the last round, the outer circle, I'm using again just the 80 Maiki galvanized silver seed beads, and there are 16 beads in total. And then just on the outside for that decorative pattern, I'll be using these 110 Delica beads. There are 16 in total. For the hook, I'll be using a sterling silver shepherd hook. But I like the finish that I get with the shepherd hook, so that's why I've chosen that one. And then there's just another 6 110 Delica beads in the galvanized silver that will just sit alongside that hook on the top of the earring there. For the threads, I'm just using Fireline. I'll put the length in the description, but I usually measure that from pulling that from my hand all the way up to my shoulder. I think it's about 26 inches. Just a fine beading needle and a thread cutter. Okay, so let's thread the needle. I always give that a bit of a pinch at the beginning. And put it just a little bit down to pick up your centre bead, and just pop that onto the thread. And you want to just leave yourself just a little tail of thread at the bottom. You don't need much there. And we're just going to take the needle and then just bring that up through the bottom and just pull the thread back onto the bead. So just loops around the bead, and then just turn that to the side, and you want to do the same on the other side. So the thread's now coming out the top, and you just want to go back through the bottom of the bead, coming back out the top. And now you've got that on both sides. Now I'm just going to repeat that. So I'm going to have two threads on each side laying across that bead. So there you've got your thread sitting on both sides of that bead. So we're going to be using the brick stitch technique, and to get that started you want to pick up 2 beads. So we're doing this part here. We're going to be starting by adding this first row, this circle around that centre bead. So to do that, to get started, we need to pick up 2 8/0 seed beads, the galvanized silver, and then we're just going to come under the thread. You want to place your needle underneath that thread, and then just pull that all the way down. Try not to tangle it up like I have. And then you can just move that into place, and it should be sitting there like this. At this stage are just a little bit loose. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come back up through that last 8/0 seed bead and put my needle through the bottom of that bead and pull it out the top. And then give that a bit of a pull to tighten that. So now those 2 beads are sitting there on top of that bead. And now we're going to, instead of picking up 2 beads, we'll just pick up 1 bead each time now until we've completed that round all the way around that center bead. So pick up another 8/0 seed bead, go under the thread with the needle. You've got 2 threads there, so go under both, and then pull that all the way down. So if you can see, the thread is sitting underneath, your working thread is sitting underneath that thread that you placed around that bead. So now I'm going to take my needle and go up through this bead, and then that will pull that bead into place. Let's give that a bit of a pull. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around. So I'm going to have 8 beads all the way around, so 4 on both sides of that round bead. I'm going to trim that tailor thread off because I'm comfortable that everything's held in place now, and that's going to start getting in the way. So trim that off. Let's pick up that last 8/0 seed bead and we'll go under the thread. And up. That's the last bead in that round. Now we want to connect the last bead to the first bead that we added. So to do that, we're just going to, this is our working thread here coming out the top of that last bead that you just come out of. And now you want to take your needle and go through the first bead that we added, so through here. Pull that down, give it a bit of a tug, and now you want to come back up through the bead on the left, the last bead that we added in that circle. There you go. That's your first round of beads added. There's 8 beads altogether going around that center bead. We're going to start on this round of beads here, and they're going to be the 18 seed beads, the pink seed beads, 11O. So to start the new row, you want to step up, or the new round or row, whatever you want to call it. We're going to pick up 2 11O pink seed beads, and we're going to be using this thread that sits along top of the 8O seed beads. It's like a thread bridge, and we're going to be using that to create the next round. So we need to, in the same way, picked up two seed beads. Now I'm going to go underneath that thread bridge, and then just pull that down, and then just come up underneath the bead on the right, go up through the bottom, pull the thread out the top, and they're now sitting on top, creating that new row or that new round. And we're now going to pick up 1 bead at a time, so 1 11O pink seed bead, and go underneath that thread bridge, and then up through the bead, pulling that nice and tight. Again, pick up another one, under the thread bridge, up through the bottom of the bead, pull it tight. Then we're going to repeat that process, following that all the way around. Just do a couple more. So under the thread bridge, up through the bead, pull that nice and tight. One more. Under and up. So you should have something looking like this. So now you want to just repeat that process all the way around to continue to pick up 1 11O pink seed bead and go under the thread bridge, and then up through the bead, and then get all the way around until you've added, until we get to the last bead. So there should be 18 beads in this round. So let's add those all until we get to the last bead. Okay, so we've got to that last bead now in that round, and we just want to pick that one up, and the same, go under the thread bridge, and then up through the bottom, to close that round off. You want to go through the next bead on the right, you want to go through the top of that bead, pull your thread down nice and tight, And then take your needle and go up through the bead to its left. And then just pull that real tight. So you've now created your second round of beads. You've got your center bead, your round of galvanized silver 8O seed beads, and now you've got your round of pink 11O seed beads. Now we're just going to add the final row. We're going to be adding this last round of 8O seed beads, the galvanized silver. But in between each bead, we're going to be placing a Delica bead, an 11O Delica bead. So to do that, because we're stepping up into a new row or new round, we need to start with 2, but because we're adding a Delica bead in between each seed bead, we're going to pick up an 8O seed bead, an 11O Delica bead, and then another 8O seed bead. And we're going to go, instead of going under the next thread bridge, we're going to go under the one next to it. So we're going to skip the first one and go to the next one, go underneath, and then just pull that down, and then up through the seed bead to the right. Now each time we'll pick up one 11O silver Delica bead and one 8O silver seed bead, and then we'll go under the next thread bridge, pulling that down, and then up through the last seed bead. Again, one 11O Delica bead, one 8O seed bead, under the thread bridge, pull it down, up through the seed bead. More. So the Delica bead, 11O Delica bead, 8O seed bead, under the thread bridge, and up through the seed bead, the 8O, and then we're going to repeat that again all the way around until we get to the last one. Okay, so now we're at the last beads, and you should be left with something that looks like this. And we've got one remaining 8O seed bead. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick up another 11O Delica bead and the last 8O seed bead. Go under the thread bridge. Oops. Pop that bead in place. Now we want to close this up by placing just one 11O Delica bead. We're going to pop that in to the bead on the right. So go through the top of that bead all the way down. Where am I? and then come up through the bead on the left. Now completed that round. So it's looking pretty good. Now all we need to do is attach the hook. So to do that, we've got 3 Delica beads on either side of the hook. So we're going to pick up 3, oh, I'm tangled, 3 11/0 Delica beads. And we're going to place our hook onto the needle. And then we're going to put 3 more 11/0 Delica beads. Pick up 3 11/0 Delica beads. And then just push that down. And now we're going to go, so we're coming out here. And we're going to just loop over and go down through the 8/0 seed bead to the left, to its left. And let's just pull that slowly. So you should have something that looks like this. Now you just want to take your thread, your needle, and go up through the 8/0 seed bead on the right, and then work your way back up through all of those Delica beads and go all the way around. Tighten that up. Can get a bit fiddly now you've got that hook there as well. Can get a little bit more harder to manage, but once you've tightened that, it'll become easier. So let's go back through the Delica beads and then back through that seed bead. So hopefully you can see what I've done there. So I was coming out of this bead here, and I went up through this bead, back around, and I've now come back out of here. So just tightening that. Do that one more time just to make that tight. So now I'm just going to work this thread around through the beads and give that a nice tighten up. So always making sure that I follow the pattern of the thread so that I'm not placing my thread across any of the beads. It's always going in the right direction. And just go all the way around the outside of those beads. Just working my way all the way around, just going across and then up and then through the Delica bead and then down through the seed bead. And then across again into the next 8/0 seed bead, through the Delica bead to the left, down through the 8/0 seed bead to the left again, up through the next 8/0 seed bead, through the Delica bead, down the 8/0 seed bead, up the next 8/0 seed bead to the left. And now I'm going to finish this by just tying a knot. So before I go through this Delica bead, I'm just going to put my needle under that thread and then just tie that in a knot there. Be careful not to catch everything. And now I'm going to put my needle through the Delica and pull that knot into that bead. And now I'm just going to work the needle through just a couple of beads and then I'm going to cut my thread. You can show I'll come out of the back, cut my thread from the back. Just make sure it all looks neat and tidy. Looking pretty good. Trim that away. And there you have it. Here's one I made earlier. A very pretty pair of pink brick stitch seed bead earrings. The same pair in black. The gorgeous Preciosa jet black crystal bead in the centre. Then I've done a pair with the crystal AB Preciosa crystal bead in the centre. I think this is called Snow, that colour, the seed bead. It's going around the outside. They're gorgeous, very sparkly. And that's it. So thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed making these earrings as much as I did. I've just noticed as I've put this video together that my nail polish on my thumbnail was really not not looking good, so apologies about that, but you were here for the earrings, so hopefully my nail polish didn't put you off, and I hope you come back for more tutorials in the future. Thank you so much for watching.